But I just went and got a beer because what you're about to see is deadly. I thought if I was gonna die, I may as well die with a beer in my hand. Welcome back, guys. We are working on the Stag today. We are dropping the subframe. Now, just let that sink in for a minute. We are in a regular garage and we're dropping the subframe. That's not going to be fun. Stag mods have really kicked off, right? So we're on stands now. I really would like to get billet oil pump gears because obviously it goes without saying that the RB has the worst oil pump on. It's just like as if their gears are made of glass. So a little bit of peace of mind will do billet oil pump gears. All right, sweet. So we'll just buy billet oil pump gears and slap them in. So what do you have to do that? Well, you got to take the oil pump off. Okay, so to get the oil pump off, you just got to drop the sump down 20 mil. Okay, that's annoying, but whatever. All right. Oh, by the way, there's 5 bolts in the back of the sump that join to the gearbox. So that's got to come out. And come full circle, I want to leave the engine in the car because I just cannot be bothered to take it out. Spoiler alert, I'm probably going to do some of the craziest cowboy shit to hold that engine where it needs to be while the subframe drops. But as you can see, I've already made a bit of headway here. So exhaust is fully off. Turbos are currently dumped to atmosphere. Obviously, whole car actually works and is functioning. Still got radiator fluid and everything in it. So I think it's mandatory to make a pit stop at turbos dumped to atmosphere, turn the car on, see how it sounds. So let's do that. This will be good. So I'm not going to lie to anyone, that sounded fucking sick and I loved it. Last night I went a bit ham and took out the rad, took out the turbos and just dropped the car back down. Obviously the whole point of this is to get this crank bolt off. To get the oil pump off, crank bolt has to come off. Now this thing is notoriously tight. Everything you read on the forums is like get a 2 meter breaker bar, get a 2 meter breaker bar and 3 mates, get a power bar. Anyway. I have none of that, so I have a 2 meter breaker bar and I've put it in 5th gear and jammed the brakes on. I'm gonna cover it in this stuff. Pretty much it just brings the bolt down to like negative 43 degrees or something Celsius, and then it produces microfine cracks where it's been sitting for however long. It helps you undo loose bolts and it hasn't let me down yet. So anyway, this will be interesting to say the least.
Hours later.
This is where we're at. Still on there, tight as hell. 5th gear, I've got the brake jammed. Anyway, I'm gonna just keep spraying this stuff and then just keep hanging off it with this pole. You've got to get like the maximum amount of angle that way because it deflects and deflects and deflects, and then I'm waiting to hear a crack, but I haven't heard one yet, so. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, no. By the way, that wasn't the nut snapping, that was just your crank. Look at that. I wasn't going to say anything because I wasn't sure whether it was going to work, but for those playing along at home, can of silicone between this bit of trim and your brake pedal, perfect. jams in there real tight. We're gonna climb under the car now because the next step in dropping, well, don't know whether we're gonna drop the subframe yet, but the next step in dropping the sump is actually, oh, by the way, you have to drop the gearbox. Ugh. Right now, that gearbox will disappear in the next scene, and then we will continue on dropping the sump. So that gearbox will now be gone. And just like that, gearbox is on the ground. I did a whole video on taking that gearbox out because I'm a little bit proud of myself, but I actually just did that on the garage floor by myself. I have just taken everything else off. Clutch and flywheel is off as well. These must be the ones that everyone's talking about. You dogs, why would you do that? To drop the sump, to get the oil pump out, you got to take the gearbox off. This sump, I'm having a quick squiz at it, and it looks like it's the most fastened thing on the car. There's bolts like every inch, all the way around the whole outside, down the other side, on top of that, which I've just cracked, they were shit. So obviously all those bolts, and then there's 2 more bolts on top of that, on the top side, so we'll get those. And then we will look at what it's going to take to drop this sump. I just went and got a beer because what you're about to see is deadly. I thought if I was going to die, I may as well die with a beer in my hand. Holy shit. I mean, what I will say is if it looks dumb but it works, it ain't dumb. And this is working perfectly. This is lifted off the mounts of how you should actually lift the engine. That strap's rated to like some crazy amount. That bit of timber, if that breaks, then I deserve to have an engine land on me. But if we come under here now and actually have a look, now we're talking like 50 mil. 50 mil in here, heaps of room. They say you only need about 20 mil to get the oil pump off. There's something on the inside. We'll have to have a look at it once we get it off. About 20 mil to get the oil pump off. But what I really wanted to make sure of is like, you want as much room as you can get under here, up here, and in here, and obviously on the other side, because you need to re-gasket that. And for the easiness of not having to take the engine out, or not having the real estate to have an engine crane and do this whole thing by yourself, a ratchet strap and a $20 post. So anyway, I'm gonna go around now and crack this sump off the bottom and see how far it drops down. So, full disclosure, not a clue how to take a sump off. This looks like a good spot to start, and this looks like a good spot of how to start. So, alright, so after you take all the bolts out, just drop the sump. Should I even pry by it? I'm not even going to pry by it. Look at that. She wants to come out. I'm obviously going to take them out for sure. They're still so tight. Oh, damn. Okay. Alrighty. Let's go. Let's go. New day, and she survived the night, boys. Yeah. This is just like an interim thing. Just because the strap is actually holding it everywhere it needs to be held. So right now, I've got the sump held up against the engine. Just because I'm going to jack the front up a little bit more and just tighten that ratchet strap just to give me some more room. So as far as room under the sump, up here, and that's underneath the sump there, and we're talking like big, like probably 60, 70 mil. Lots of clearance there. Yep. That's already down like 25 mil, and there's another 25 mil under here. So there's going to be a bit of room to come down there. But as I said, I don't actually know how far that needs to come down. All drive shafts are still connected. Everything else is still where it should be. It is literally, the sump has just come down and the engine's gone up. Every ancillary part is still connected, AC lines, obviously the radiator and everything's disconnected, but that's a given. But yeah, that's about it. I reckon that's where we're gonna leave it, because now I need to disassemble this whole front end and just pretty much figure out how far down the sump needs to come off, down to get the oil pump off, because that's the end goal here. The end goal is, it's so pity to say, but the end goal of all of this, like the last 4 days of my life, is to put some billet oil pump gears in that stupid oil pump. Next episode, we're going to just rip down the whole front of the engine. Realistically, I probably should have done that before I did everything that I've just done, but now I'm going to be working on an engine that's suspended in midair, so can't wait. Super safe. Try this at home if you want. Let me know how you go. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks guys, bye.
Ever since you shut the door on everything we knew, you're too late for love, feeling your trip, love, feeling on love, feeling your trip, love, feeling